Joined now by Dal Babu, who is a former Chief Superintendent with the Metropolitan Police. Hi, it's good to see you. Are our police officers too PC, do you think?
That's never been my experience. I think there's no evidence of that. Police officers do an incredibly tough job. You see police officers having to deal with fights, disorder in town. They're doing lots of investigations. I think the idea that the police are doing PC and that's why they're not actually getting involved and doing the kind of investigations that people want us to do is more about the fact that we've had austerity, we've had a huge reduction in policing, and we've now got a very inexperienced police force because of that reduction in policing.
I did make that point actually to the Home Secretary. Something like 40% of police officers on the streets now and otherwise have got less than 5 years' experience. She didn't really take that on board.
Well, I think, Kay, that's the most important point. It's a hugely inexperienced organisation. I mean, I'll give you a personal example. I was at a friend's house. There was a burglary next door, went outside, and the house I was in had CCTV cameras. And there were some new police officers outside. And I sort of spoke to them and said, look, we've got CCTV. You know, the interpersonal skills were very, very poor. They were a little bit nervous. And they never came back to check the CCTV. Wow. And I just think, you know, it just shows that whole lack of experience. It's just, you know, you interacting. If somebody's offering you some evidence, you know, at least have the courtesy to say, actually, we won't require it. You know, but there was none of that.
But how do we fix that? We can't really, can we?
No, I think this is a problem that's been going on for decades. You do this huge cutback in policing when crime goes down, crime goes up, and then you end up having to recruit lots of police officers. I think we need to have some degree of stability in policing. I feel very, very sorry for my colleagues who are doing in the main, doing a good job, but are struggling because they've got a hugely inexperienced group of individuals who have joined the organisation and then have to learn on the job. There's no alternative to learning on the job.
What about the fact that so many of our police services appear to be in special measures, not just the Met, but Greater Manchester, Cleveland, Gloucestershire, Staffordshire, Wiltshire?
Well, I'm glad you've said all of those, Kay, because the danger is sometimes we just focus on the Met. You know, this is a problem across the whole of the country. And if you look at Greater Manchester Police, the similar kind of issues that people have been talking about very openly about the Met are present in somewhere like Greater Manchester, another big force.
Doesn't make it right, though, does it?
No, absolutely not. But I think we need to understand that this is, if we just focus on one force, we do ourselves a huge disservice. We need to be looking at the entirety of the police service.
And what about the fact that officers are being taken away from frontline duties in order to look at officers who have behaved inappropriately?
Well, one of the biggest challenges the police has is the lack of trust at the moment. I mean, and there's a great Dutch saying that talks about trust walking towards you and disappearing on the back of a horseback. And I think we're in that situation with the police. You know, trust is a really, really important commodity. And because trust has gone, it's never been lower.
Behind you as we're talking about it. I mean, when you have somebody like him and his absolutely despicable behaviour, it's tricky to come back from that.
Absolutely. I mean, David Carrick should never have been allowed in the police. He never. And he was then given the authority to carry firearms. So somebody had decided, well, not just one person, but several people had decided that despite his history, he was going to be given additional vetting, get through that additional vetting and have a firearm. Now, I've turned people down because they've been involved in domestic abuse incidences, and I said that you're not appropriate to carry a firearm. Now, you've had a sergeant who said that, an inspector, you've had a very senior officer who has agreed for this individual to carry a firearm, despite all the evidence we have. So that's the difficulties with trust at the moment, you know. And so in answer to your point, I think you really need to make sure that you invest resources in that. And if that means sometimes taking resources elsewhere to put into investigating police officers, I think that has to be done. I see it as a short-term measure, not a long-term measure.
OK, we must leave it there. It's good to talk to you. Thanks so much indeed for joining us on the programme.